Hey, hello everybody, and welcome to our virtual session today as we take you from physical to virtual, how to do it and how to do it different. My name's Tom Gardner. I'm the head of product marketing here at SpotMe, and I will be live streaming directly from the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak in the US, New York City. So we have a very packed agenda today. We have 3 topics. But before we get started, I want to break the ice with a live poll. Here's the question. If you have a 350-person event or meeting happening next week, what prevents you, or what is in the back of your mind preventing you from going virtual? Okay, you'll see a notification come up in your virtual experience, but if you don't and you miss it, please click on the notification icon at the top of your menu bar. First, I'm going to hand over to Pierre, and then we'll share the results. Over to you, Pierre.
Hi everyone, and welcome to our launch event today. And thanks, Tom, for the intro. My name is Pierre Mitrielli. I'm the CEO and co-founder here at SpotMe. So I wanted to share some of our perspectives and things that we've heard and observed with our key customers when it comes to COVID-19 and making decisions on going virtual. So first we need to talk about COVID-19 and make some assumptions. Like most of us, I certainly went into this crisis thinking this is going to be short. So predictions are hard, but we need some sort of a basic framework. So in our model, we're actually using 2 scenarios that were built by McKinsey. And there are 2 different scenarios. One is a delayed recovery. And in this scenario, COVID cases peak by mid-April in the US and Europe. And with the other scenario, which is a little bit more dramatic, prolonged contraction, that's the name of it, cases will peak in June with a second wave coming during the fall. Now, thinking from an event perspective, most companies today have a travel ban in place, which usually corresponds to the US CDC travel guidelines. And on top of this, countries have imposed restrictions on gathering, sometimes as extreme as 2 people. So if you are organizing an event, there are some implications for you. Now, first you are thinking, are people attending, are these people going to be interested and focused? And the answer is, for the next 4 weeks, no, they're not. This week at SpotMe, we were supposed to organize our quarterly exec team offsite, which is usually a 3-day event. Now, my team is at home, most of them with kids. This is a highly stressful situation. So for the next 4 to 6 weeks, there's absolutely no focus I can expect from, or we can expect from attendees. But then, thinking ahead in May, think about speakers. And often we think, at least we can create a virtual stage with my speakers and panelists, and let's bring them together at one place so that we can send a camera crew to record the virtual stage. Well, most of us are not able to execute this before September in the case of the prolonged contraction scenario. And finally, with travel restrictions and restrictions on gathering and meetings, you cannot get your audience at one place, at least until July, but potentially until November. Now, how do people like all of you today make decisions? And we have actually collected some data. And this is what the data says. At SpotMe, we're very lucky because we're very global. So these are 200 events, both in the US, in Europe, but also in APAC, internal and external customers, most of them Fortune 500, but also channel partners. 200 events. And we've looked at what decisions they've taken. So 45% have decided to postpone their face-to-face event, postpone usually to the summer or the fall. And 42% have actually decided to cancel it altogether. And only 13% have decided to go virtual, usually at the same date or just shifted by a couple of weeks. Now, this is normal. This is crisis time, and people make decisions very quickly. But as time goes, people will realize that this is the new normal. And the hotels in the falls are going to become full. And yes, this is going to last longer. And this is the new reality. And instead of asking yourself the question, do you go virtual? You should ask yourself the question, Do you want to exist and you want to be relevant for your stakeholders in the next 8 to 12 months? And the answer is yes, I assume. So yes, you should be going virtual. Now, is the existing technology that is out there today meeting the needs of everyone? Does it make you happy? Do you actually like what you're seeing? Well, we do not. And this is why we've decided to launch SpotMe Anywhere, which is our new virtual experience product. But before we talk about product and about our product, we wanted to talk about you and your existing event plans. So Tom, can you tell us what are our participants saying from our 350 participant event poll that we just did?
Yes, great. Thanks, Pierre. Well, it seems like we have an even split between people not sure if attendees are going to be in the right frame of mind, which supports the McKinsey model in terms of people being very distracted with the outbreak and the coronavirus right now in the immediate. But we also have, our most popular answer is actually people don't know where to start, which also supports our goal here. We want to be helpful. We want you to leave this session with some practical tips and hopefully how to get over that initial hurdle of thinking about whether you at least stay physical and wait for COVID-19 to end or transition to virtual and get that mechanism rolling now. So interesting results. Okay, thanks, Pierre. I'm going to now take us through some practical thought process in terms of the new psychology of virtual. So I think it's fair to say, and I recently saw a stat from Event Manager blog that said up to 2/3, if not higher, of event meeting planners had never hosted a virtual meeting. And I think that's why a lot of you are on this session today. But it's also fair to say that our audiences are also in a similar boat. And while we're all used to what the image is on the left-hand side, the in-person physical event, on the right-hand, far right, is what we're actually, a lot of us are in today. We're trying to get used to this new reality of not only working from home and what that means, but also working from home with the rest of our household present. And unfortunately, in the middle is what we're all used to from a virtual perspective, which is the webinar, which is fantastic when we think about agendas and building our thinking about virtual and what people are already used to and how we can make it easier, but not so good when it comes to the experience. Okay, so now I want to give you some top tips and really answer the question, how do you go from physical to a virtual event? So the first tip that we have is build a connected virtual agenda. And really the two things there that are really important is connected and virtual agenda. So we already know that webinars take on average about 60 minutes before people start dropping off. Well, you have to remember in a crisis that people's attention span goes from 20 minutes when they're in a normal state to 12 minutes. And they only tend to remember 3 key messages. So I'm actually testing you all today with my 4 tips. But what that means is you should think about your agenda in terms of bite-sized chunks over a longer period. So maybe it's up to 60, 45 minutes a day for several days instead of hours of material and content over a couple of days, or even just hours on a single day. People can't, that's not accessible to people in their new reality of work from home. And the important thing here is to connect it. Connect it with activity challenges, breakout assignments, homework if you like. Have people, give a reason for people to turn up and to keep turning up. The second tip, again, back to that crisis psychology. In a crisis, people only hear you for, they initially hear you for 25 seconds up to 12 minutes. And they only remember 3 to 4 key messages. So keep everything short, to the point, and concise. Tip number 3, leverage the technology you have and know. We've already seen from our poll that the vast majority of people don't know where to start with virtual meetings. If you can leverage the technology that you have, it helps your internal teams get up to speed. And it also means that you're using tried, trusted, secure, and privacy-safe technology already at your disposal. And then finally, The fourth tip is around the activity funnel. Think about ways to drive your audience to outcomes. It can be difficult with virtual meetings, getting those outcomes, but hopefully if you've been in the virtual experience today, you'll have seen some of the conversation features that we have, and hopefully they give you some ideas on how to point people to those outcomes. Okay, so I'm going to hand over now to Josip, who's going to give you a virtual tour of our product. Thank you.
Hi, Tom. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me here. I'm really excited to show you all the different things that we've been working on here at SpotMe for last couple of weeks on our new virtual product experience. And I would like to start just actually by showing you. I mean, you have already been using it for the last couple of hours, I'm sure. What I'm going to ask you, if you are looking at me in full screen, you can minimize my little window, and you can follow my as I'm talking. You can click through the app and do the stuff as I'm doing, or you can just watch my screen sharing and stay in full screen. So let me just share my screen here. And if you're on the home screen, you're gonna see our new experience. If you're an existing SpotMe customer, you already know that we have a web version of our product that has it has the same feature parity as our native apps. What we've done now is we've went back to the drawing board, and we've redesigned the whole experience to be much more modern, much more fresh, and much more social, to put those things to really advance those things and promote those things on your virtual events. Because we also asked customers and people who go into virtual events, what are the things that they miss the most? And one of the things that came back was there is no way to talk to people. There is no way to create connections. There's really, it always feels like as a one-way conversation. So you have the speaker talking and that's it. So what we did here, where we started was thinking was, when you go to an event, you have normally a welcome desk, or you have some hostesses who are welcoming to the event. They give you some tips, what to do, where to go. They give you an access to an app, and they guide you through. So what we did here on our virtual event experience, and what we recommended, is add some personality to your event. When you logged into our experience a couple of hours ago, or maybe 10 minutes ago, you saw here at the top, we had this little people. It's same as if you went to a desk bar, you don't know who you're really talking to, but it makes you really want to click. And so if you click on Tom's name, you would here get a chatbot, our new feature that we just launched this week, where he's introducing himself and asking for a couple of tips or a couple of questions to give him a bit more information, where you're coming from and what you're looking for at this event. So that's a really great way to personalize and give some kind of that to give that connection and social feeling to your event. You could hear, we used our team here, their pictures. You could be using also for example, depending on your event, you could use your exec team or your head of something, or you could come up also with virtual avatars, for example, a brand mascot or some sort of 3D graphic, etc. Something that you can give personality and that can make the whole thing more and more personal. So the second thing that I wanted to show you was the guide, or the activity challenge. So it's a module that we have that you can use in virtual events to really guide people through events. So you have the welcome desk, you have the virtual hosts, people chat, they know a little bit what's the event about, and then you want to tell them what they can be doing or should be doing on your virtual event. So here we set up a couple of activities, and that we already started talking about in the email that we shared with you a couple of hours ago, where hey, you can join the virtual event, and here's a couple of things that you should be doing to get the most of it. And here's like classic things like uploading your profile photo, completing your profile, connecting with other people. It's a really great way to encourage people to look at a participant list, which is what really makes the virtual experience different from a traditional webinar, where you just have a video. You don't know who is on the other side listening to you. So here we can maybe find some friends or colleagues, or even potential customers or partners, and you can directly chat with them. And then the last part, and the most interesting one for me, is the part of crowdsourcing the content. So here we are asking, and I did a bad job, I actually didn't submit anything, but here where we encourage people to, participants to encourage people to post some content on the feed, which then enhances the opportunities for people to connect and see and share ideas and see people who are like-minded or not like-minded and have a discussion. And so here we had a topic about how do you coach your speakers, and what do you, and some tips on how to produce a virtual event. And what this gives you before the event and during the event, during your live session, you have people sending questions or ideas and comments. And as Tom was saying, you want to purposefully distract people from time to time. So this gives you a bit of content that you can read through. So for example, now I could go on the feed. Let's say we did a 15 minutes, and we actually did. And you can go through the feed and maybe comment some questions. And then it really gives it, again, this feeling of this is not a one-way conversation. I'm sorry, Carly, you're having some audio issues. I see we're having a bit of internet connection here, problems in Switzerland, but I hope this is being sorted out now, and you can hear me very well, and you can see the screen. So you could be doing things like this, even if they are not the best and the most positive. It's always good to address and to make sure people know that you are listening to them and giving and interacting with them. So you can use feed for that. You can use the feed, and that was another big concern for a lot of our customers, was with live events, you obviously have booths for your sponsors, and it's a good part of the revenue you can generate with live events. How do you do that on virtual? Again, you can use the feed itself. You could use product placements like I'm doing right now. This is like really great water, recommended. Or you can use the feed. You can post videos or content from your sponsors or your partners. And what's really great about it, participants can directly see the profile of the sales rep, message them, set up a meeting off the web app, and perhaps strike a deal. And you can again do the same thing with the gamification and activity challenge. You could give out some gifts at the end of your presentation to make sure everyone stays until the end, and those kind of gifts or prizes could be sponsored by your partners. And the other thing that I wanted to show you, there was a little funny thing that we had an idea. So clearly you don't have maps on a virtual event, but we're thinking, how can you reuse some of the functionality that we already have to create some new experiences? So here we're thinking you could use our maps feature to upload infographics, potentially with your partners and your exhibitors, depending on what the topic is. And here, for example, we have a marketing stack infographic. We have different stages: attract, engage, adapt, and you have different logos or different companies. And you can simply click on one of these sponsors, look at their profile, contact the sales rep, etc. It's a little fun way. We've seen there's a lot of other companies who do a bit more elaborate graphics and stuff for this, but we thought it's not really the user-friendly way. And you want to give something useful to people and something fun. And again, you want to track eyeballs for your sponsors on this. And now the last part I wanted to show you is how does this work from the back end. So if you're a SpotMe customer, you probably already know Backstage. It's our CMS that you can use to manage manage your event. And building the virtual experience is no different than building a mobile app for your event. You have access to full backstage and all the capabilities. You upload your agendas as you would normally, but again, you adjust the content, so it doesn't take 1 hour. Sorry, it doesn't take 1 day, but it takes perhaps 10, 15 minutes or 45 minutes. You can of course do breakouts here. Like here, I have a couple of. We have here a couple of pre-recorded on-demand videos that you can watch if you go into the agenda. But here you could just as easily link different video streaming. So your participants could start in a common session, you do your keynote or your address, and then you can instruct your participants to go to the agenda and switch to their breakout that they're interested in. Again, gives you this little pause of grabbing people's attention again. And the great thing that you can also do here now from backstage, as you're doing your live event, as you're doing your virtual event, one of the things you want to do is, again, these distractions. So you want to use polling, you want to use Q&A, moderate the feed, and we have this new dashboard in the notification that we're launching now, where you can quickly and easily prepare all of your communications, so all of your notifications and things that you want to send out during the event, and then your standby team that's on the other side of this meeting, as they're listening, they can send the notifications for you just by clicking here. Sorry, not that one. I wanted to send you this one, so you can do this and send a little poll every couple of minutes just to get people back. Again, that's it from the from the product perspective. There's a lot of tools that there's a lot of other things that I wanted to do and I wanted to show you, but we have so little time. So I'm gonna just go to my last slide, and I see we have some good ideas here posted by some of our partners that we're gonna address later. But what I wanted to talk about is, so you have decided you want to do a virtual event, and how can you do that with SpotMe? And here we're offering 3 different options. The first option is what we call second screen experience, and it's something that a lot of our customers already do, and we do actually at SpotMe. It's something that you will do if your event is happening. It's something that you perhaps do once a month, and you are talking only to your internal you're talking only to your employees. It's an internal meeting, and you already have a video conferencing tool. For example, you have Zoom, you have Slack, you have WebEx, you have GoToWebinar. And what you would do, you would simply use those tools to hold a conversation, to have a meeting. But as you're inviting people into the Zoom or WebEx meeting, you would also share them access with our mobile app. And you would then leverage the mobile app to send notifications leading up to the event, sending perhaps surveys, and then during the meeting, you would use them to do the interactivity, for example, the polling, the Q&A, all those things that really make this one-way conversation two-way. The second and the third option are very similar. The difference being for the second option, which we call embedding live streams from third parties. So you would use this if you already have a partnership or a partner that you work with that produces professional AV. So they have their camera crew that they can send to your speakers or to your office. They professionally film the whole thing. They have their own streaming service and on-demand video. So you would work with that company, and they would give you a live stream feed that you can embed into our virtual or web experience. And just as we are doing this webinar now, you could have your professionally produced video together with the web app. And the third thing you can do is use our virtual package, which is what we are just launching today, and includes, and you would use that if you don't have a conferencing tool at your company, or you don't know how to start, if you don't have a AV solution, or you don't have a YouTube Live or Vimeo Live, and you don't know where to get started, how to train speakers, etc. So this is our new turnkey solution, our offering where together with the web, with our virtual experience, SpotMe takes care of preparing the content, making sure the content is ready for the virtual experience. We help you train your speakers to deliver the presentation remotely, and we manage the live interactivity and provide support during your live delivery. Just like on this delivery, we have there's 2 or 3 more people that you don't see that are helping me share the screens. They taught me how to present in a remote meeting, and that manage the slides sharing and interactivity. So those are like the 3 different options. And beside the technology, like do you have a conferencing tool or not? What you would also need to think about is what's the audience? Again, so if your audience is internal and you are doing 1 event a month, that you probably want to go with the first option because it's the easiest to get set up and the fastest to get set up. If you had a physical meeting that was perhaps 3 or 4 days long, or maybe just 2 days, and you want to chop up that into maybe 1 week long of virtual sessions. So every day, 1 hour virtual session, as Tom was saying, the attention span for virtual is much smaller than for physical events. This is where we would recommend the options 2 and 3, so that you have the web app or our virtual experience that your customers can log into every day. And at 4 p.m. they log in, they know there's a stream going to be on. They can start a little community using the feed. You can activate those games, the gamification. You can share a lot of documents. It's just to make sure that they have continuity and they become friendly and customized to the whole platform. And how do they get on and use them and enjoy your virtual experience? I think that's it from me at this point. Again, there's a lot of more things I wanted to show you, but time is short. So I'm going to hand it over back to Tom, who I think has collected a lot of questions from you.
So since we announced that we were launching a new virtual product and we put this together, we've had been inundated with questions. So let's get to them. If you want to submit a question, you see an ask a question menu option on the left-hand side of your virtual experience. But let's get to the first one. Josip, I think this one's for you. Can we create a registration site with agenda, practical info, etc. for our virtual event with SpotMe?
Hi, Tom. Yes, you can. As I hope everyone here has experienced it. As we sent you the email invites a couple of days ago, you actually used our solution to sign up. You gave us your name and you want to be visible in the list or not. And as soon as you fill in that info, you could have had access to the full desktop experience with the full agenda, all the information, all the speakers, the feed, etc. So yeah.
Perfect, thank you. And just a quick follow-up, you can customize the questions, right? You can have anything you would like in there, right?
Yes, so you can have any amount of questions you want to have there. It can be any text, drop down, password, email, any kind of things, yeah.
Thank you. Next question, can a delegate both be logged in via computer and their cell phone, iPhone, Android device?
Yeah, so you can definitely log in on your desktop, on your iPhone. The experience is going to be slightly different. So if you're using the second screen experience, obviously everything is the same. What you get extra by using the desktop, you get the live feed. But you can definitely be logged in at the same time on both. You'll get notifications on both devices and you can follow the stream on your desktop and perhaps use the polling or Q&A or share some pictures or selfies from the phone if that's more convenient.
Okay, great. Maybe Pierre, I'm not sure who's best suited. What are the pros cons of the second screen compared to the integrated feed?
The pros and cons. So the pros of the second screen is you can actually do feed on the second screen experience too. You would what would be different is the way you would use it. You would probably use it as something before the event and perhaps after event to keep people connected and on the same topic, versus what you're using the integrated feed or using the desktop client. You would also use it during the event to communicate with people. You would maybe post some updates and stuff. So really, there's really no pros and cons with one or the other. It's more about what is the experience you want to provide, and what is the situation that what kind of the event you wanna give.
Well, and Josep, I think it's also a function of what you have that already exists.
Yeah.
If you already have a webcast provider, and you may not have the time, or you just want to use that solution that you have in place, and you want to bolt on the app, the second screen is just fine. Now, one of the things that we've heard with people who go for the integrated feed is that there is no download, right? You've all done the experience today. You get the email, you click on the link, you get on this beautiful desktop app, and that's your place. And we know that people have a little bit of a download fatigue these days. So having a download less solution is actually a big win. So it's a matter of what you have already in place.
Makes sense. Thank you both. Do we have a question coming in? Yeah, hang on a second. Okay, this is a good one. How many people can connect in a single session? Josep, I'm going to throw that back to you.
So this mostly depends on the solution that you're using to live stream. If you are using a third-party provider, it can really vary from 100 to 1,000 to 10,000. If you're using the SpotMe solution, so we support different kind of configurations. We support up to 1,000 speakers interacting with each other. So having what we call interactive participant, and then you can have up to 10,000 listeners. So view only connections where you are just consuming the content from our side.
Okay, thank you. That makes sense. Anything else coming in?
Yeah, we're actually getting a lot of questions, and from my ironing board in my living room, I struggle to actually keep track of that. Okay, are we coming to that? 1 second.
No problem at all.
All right, we go.
Okay. Is there a time limit when a new delegate can sign up, register before they can use the virtual experience? And Josep, is there a time limit when delegate can sign up?
Let me just read it. Is there a time limit when a new delegate can sign up before? So this is really depends on when you communicate about the sign up. So for example, we communicated about the sign up 1 week in advance. You could communicate about it 2 weeks in advance or 1 day in advance. As long as you don't share the sign up link to anyone, there's going to be no one able to register. And you can also close, exactly, and maybe that's the question, you can close the registration after 1 point. So you can have it open for perhaps 2 days, 2 weeks in advance, and then close it. Only people who sign up in those 2 weeks, they get access afterwards. And follow up, I see about the branding. So the reg site, definitely you can change a little bit of the colors, and you can change the logo that appears at the beginning of the session. Sorry, at the reg website.
One thing that you mentioned earlier, but I think is prevalent to delegates signing up, is you have a choice, right? You can launch them straight into the virtual experience, or you can hold them in the holding zone, and you could decide what their experience is after they've signed up, which I think is another decision point. Okay, can you do sessions, presentations live in parallel?
Yes, so I briefly showed that. You can definitely, again, you have the full power of the SpotMe agenda, which has a lot of customization options there, and you can organize breakouts as many as you would want. The question is, how many can you actually manage in parallel? So you could have, as we are doing right now, we have a stream where we are all speaking together. What we could do at the end of this at the end of this broadcast, we could say, okay, now go to the agenda and sign up for your sessions, and you will join the live stream there that's specific to your breakout. Again, you can have as many of these as you would want. It's just a matter of how many can you manage at the same time, and how many speakers can you have to present at the same time.
It's probably something you want to rigorously test right beforehand.
Yeah.
Just to check all the connections and their upload speeds.
And Josep, I think what we've seen is that we've seen customers doing a mix of all of this. having breakouts that are pre-recorded, having breakouts that are running Zoom meetings, which are pretty much like a workshop, and then having breakouts or part of the sessions that are just like broadcast, like we did today.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
And
makes
you
sense.
you can mix and match all of those really depending on what kind of experience and what you want to achieve. For workshops, again, you could, yes, have even two-way conversations set up with a smaller number of speakers. You could then join people at the end. So they go into a breakout, and at the end of the breakout, they come back again into a shared session. You could do really a lot of these things. But again, keep in mind what you shared with us at the beginning, the time span. You could do a lot of these things, but people have perhaps 1 hour, 45 minutes. It's a good time spent for your event, and maybe instead of a lot of breakouts, you would really do multiple days. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've been 39 minutes. I could really hear my kids in the other room coming. So yeah, more questions coming in. Anything else? I see a lot of activity happening.
Yeah, so we have a question, Tom, which I'm going to pop up right now, about Zoom and whether Zoom is the best conferencing tool. Maybe Josep, do you want to?
Yeah. So we chose Zoom as our partner because we did find it was one of the best tools out there. We already use it at SpotMe, but it was very easy for us to teach different speakers how to use it, how to share. It has a lot of options. You can easily share your desktops with speakers, play music, and you can stream it. And the other thing it can do, you can actually, if you really wanted to, you could have a two-way conversation through the desktop client. There are some gotchas for that to be working, but you can potentially do that. But what we also support, it really depends on what you have at your company. If you have WebEx, for example, there's a possibility to integrate WebEx as a live stream as well. They support the same technology that's called RTMP. And if you have any other conferencing tool that can output an RTMP stream, it can be integrated in the live player on our desktop experience.
Great, thank you. I think we maybe have time for one more, and it's around the cost, Pierre. So I'm going to hand this over to you. Is the virtual version the same cost or more than the current seat cost, and build virtual events in Backstage without an additional cost?
All right, so the one thing that we recognize is that when you're running a virtual event, you are not going to get the same numbers that you would have with face-to-face. So typically you will invite more people and you may have less people turning up. So we are actually we have come up with a different pricing. So the virtual seat is cheaper than a physical seat, so to speak. And I guess the other question is, if I want to use this just once for one of my clients, so we actually also provide a full service package where you don't have to do anything. So we do the project management, we do come with Zoom, we do the moderation, the training, and of course we come with the software that everyone is running on their own browsers.
Okay, thank you so much. That's all we have time for questions. I want you I would kindly ask you to submit the survey response. You'll see a notification coming up. Please do that. It's very important we get your feedback. We realize there were some technical issues as we try and work this out, but we appreciate your support and your understanding in these uncharted waters. And we hope that you found the session very useful. Hopefully provide some feedback, let us know where else you need help. If you're interested in learning more, chat to us on our website, request a demo, reach out to your account manager. They're fully prepared to help you all through this transition. Let us know how we can help. A reminder, we will be sharing these slides. Thank you for participating. You can see these in the virtual experience after this event. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.